As a grandmother, the hardest thing for me was to accept that I had to put these children on medication. It was, and even now, it's very difficult because I, as a mother, could not understand why my son couldn't do his job and take on these children. So yeah, I went into a depression. I had to get on medication to be able to think clearly what I had to do. But then the children to be diagnosed, the smallest they were, to now have to give them clonidine to go to sleep because the child couldn't sleep because he had nightmares, to give him Adderall so he can function in school, to give him Risperdal to be able to have less mood swings, and to see me giving them the medication morning and the night, it's very heartbreaking because these children need that medication just to get through life right now. So there's a hard thing to try to have to get them onto medication. And now I know mental illness and I know these things. And I struggle. I took them off of sugar. I've done all the dieting things to try to get them stable, and it's not helping. So now I'm looking at having to do this medication, and it's so hard to have to see your little grandchild not being a child. They need this medication to function. And so it's very hard to take that step and say they need it. And then to do it, and then you're wrestling with am I doing the right thing? A lot of people give you advice, try this, try that. We don't know what to do. So I'm sorry. That's for sharing your story. How I came to get my kids is that both mom and dad lost custody of their children, and so I took on 5 grandkids from ages 3 months to 9 years old. I had to consider retirement, at early retirement without medical or dental benefits. I had to sacrifice my own life, my own retirement. What I realized is it wasn't worth working to just get $300 in net income a month when I was paying for childcare and paying for all the needs of the children, so I decided to stay home. Some of the issues that I came across is finding resources, not having enough information to be able to provide the necessary things for the kids. I joined a grandparents group, and after being in the grandparents group for 2 years, I decided that we needed to start more grandparents groups, so I started another one at Northside Independent School District, where now we have 15 grandparents there.
Foster care makes you go buy bed covers for those beds for you to pass their inspection.
What we're doing is trying to get resources for them and giving them the information that we never got from the beginning. So that's how I became an advocate. First of all, my name is Mercedes Crystal, and I am a grandmother who is raising 5 grandchildren. And our where we come in places that we were going to ask the state representatives a couple of questions. So that's one of the things that I would like to ask these state representatives, if they would support a bill that would actually be a bill that the income follow the child. If the child was removed from the home and he got SSI or child support, that the income would follow the child. Foster care gets, I think, about $700 around there dollars a month. And when grandparents take on the responsibility of their grandchildren, they get nothing. And so now they have to provide for these children either on their own income, and they're already living on a fixed income.
Grandmother, 83 years old, with 7 grandkids under the age of 10. Mom is incarcerated. Dad is a doctor. He cannot provide for them. And so, how do you reach out to them?
I first took custody of my grandson when he was born. He was 4 days old. His mom was addicted to drugs and had been taking drugs during the course of her pregnancy, which in fact, when he was born, social services called and had me to come to the hospital and pick him up. All within a matter of 3 days, I was a mom again at the age of 51. Then shortly within 4 weeks, after that, my daughter lost custody of her kids, and I wound up taking a 4-year-old and a 5-month-old. And so now I have a 3-month-old, a 5-month-old, and a 4-year-old, and overwhelmed, needless to say, not getting much sleep. There's just so much going on financially, education-wise. What are we going to do? How are we going to do it? How will our family function? Trying to overcome obstacles that are put in front of us, dealing with caseworkers on a weekly basis, dealing with investigators, dealing with kinship workers, going to counseling myself, as well as trying to be the best grandma I can be with little to no sleep. I for almost 3 months, I was doing this by myself with no help. And my husband just recently decided to basically come and be a stay-at-home dad and help out. That's also has caused a great deal of confusion in our house as to what are we going to do next, and how will we function together. He is 53, I'm 52 in January, and now we are grandparents and parents of our grandchildren.
I got the children because the father went to prison, and then the mother decided she didn't want to have the responsibility of raising the 3 children. So she just left them with us. She signed over her rights and walked away. So we took them. At that time, the baby was 6 months, and the other one was 1.5 years, and the other one was 2.5 years. And they've been with me for 12.5 years now. So the youngest they're 13, 14, and 15 years old right now. The one in middle school and 2 in high school. At the time, I was working and my husband was working. So he had to take off from work so he could stay and take care of the kids, because we were going to go on vacations. He took off the 2 weeks and stayed home to take care of them. I kept working, looking for daycare, found daycare, put him in daycare, and kept working, and decided that it wasn't worth it to be working and paying, because we had to pay the child care ourselves, so it wasn't working. It was just too much money going there, and I wasn't getting any money. So decided to quit and stay home, and I've been staying home taking care of them. So, and this is my husband over here. So, and you can ask him, see how you feel about all this work and stuff, being a grandfather and father/grandfather, all over raising a second family.
It's a job, but it's something that needs to be done. Hopefully we're doing the right thing.
For me, doing this, speaking out for the grandparents and giving them a voice, had really made me a better person, made me stronger. And it's not work, it's more like a ministry that we do. It's grounded me more in my faith. It's made me stronger in my religion, in what I believe. And this giving back is just, I don't know, I can't understand. It just lifts you, it makes you better. And I don't know, I wish everybody could feel the way this feels. So today we went to church, to Mass, and the kids help it at church and Mass also. They're ushers in the school, they're in the youth ministry, and they've gone to several retreats that they've gone to, and trying to help them with finding stuff for the kids to do. It's kind of hard to do this And we're also putting together a program with Our Lady of the Lake University on tutoring. They were so kind that they offered to help us. We have the children that need tutoring for them to go over there and have tutoring, because that's another thing grandparents cannot pay for is tutoring. And actually it's very hard right now to be able to help the kids with the homework they have. It's very different than when we went to school. Being in the support group, we hear a lot of stories about what goes on with the grandparents. And one of the grandparents told me that when she's not making it, she's not having trouble putting food on the table and getting her medications and all these things. And she said she went to Social Security to try and get help, see how they could help her. And they said no, that they couldn't help her, and that she was old anyway. Why don't you just give them to CPS, since you don't have enough money and you're old and you can't take care of them, give them to CPS. And I thought, oh my God, what kind of a heart is that? I mean, how can you ask a grandparent to give a child up? The grandmother is going to sacrifice whatever it takes to take care of the children, even if she has to do without her medicine. Instead of taking 2 a day in her medicine, she might take half a tablet twice a day instead, to save money, just to make sure that she's taking care of her children and they're being safe.